and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where we sat down and talked about why you should stop worrying about things that are out of your control. Today, for episode number 316, we are going to do a small talks episode on how your distractions are hurting you.
So before we jump into how your distractions are hurting you, I want to give a shout out to Taryn and Emilia, our beautiful girlfriends, for the shirt that I am wearing. It's a Hyperconscious Podcast shirt, and Kevin has his...
I'll show the back.
Show the back of it for the YouTubers.
Look at that.
Change the way you think, change the way you act, change the way you live.
And this is, in here we have a little, it's the audio note of us saying, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast, I think.
Very cool. A lot of thought went into this.
Best girlfriends in the world.
Seriously. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We also set the intention last week to eventually have them on the show.
Yes.
Which will be a trip. That'll be awesome.
Will be a trip.
Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was coaching. So Darren Hardy talks about how we don't fall off our goals, we actually just drift. So imagine it was someone's job, myself or Kevin, to keep you on the rails, to make sure that you are staying congruent with your highest ambitions, your highest goals and dreams. Not only are we going to help you get clear on where you want to go and why, we also are going to help you get clear on your core values, and we're going to help you make decisions along the way. I have 2 spots open. Kevin has 2 spots as well. I will not be taking more than 10 online clients just because I don't want the quality of the coaching to degrade, and that's a lot. Kevin, same deal, so get on ASAP.
Yeah, and I do podcast production / consulting and the peak performance mindset and fitness, so the podcast does take more of me. So as that fills up, I definitely have limited number left. I won't go over 10, but I don't know. Depends on the numbers of the podcast. And the other thing too is this is like the only style of ad you're ever going to get from Alan or I. Like we said this like a year and a half ago. Right. We had the opportunity to have like different people promote on the show, but that's not what we want. Like we don't want 15 minutes of sponsorships in the beginning so we can make more money. Do we want to make money? Of course, everybody does. But we want to make money by helping you guys. If you're listening, you're already in the community and you like this stuff. So imagine having a 1-hour call where we go like deep, all the way deep on the stuff that we don't talk about on the podcast. That's exactly what coaching is. You go all the way to the base. So this is what you're going to get in terms of ads for us. We just want to help you guys even more than we already are.
Speaking of ads.
Yes.
No. So I have one-on-one client who's a business owner, runs a physical therapy clinic down in Southern Florida, and she's doing incredible. And it's my job as a peak performance business coach. I started peak performance business coaching to help her optimize her life and make sure she's working as a business owner, not just a business operator. So if you do have a business or want to start one, I'm doing that as well.
All right. And also 185 people we have in Hyperconscious Nation. When we get to 200, Alan and I are going to pick a random person to give away a half-hour dual coaching call to. You'll be able to talk to Alan and I at the same time on the phone.
Our first dual coaching call.
Rock. All right, so how your distractions are hurting you. Why are we doing this episode?
Okay, so if you look back over the last 20 or so episodes, and that's probably the last month or so, since we do 4 a week, we've been talking a lot about the silence between the notes, how to recharge, how to get good R&R, what's a lot about self-care, a lot about how to refill your cup. There's kind of a running theme. And this is connected to that because Kevin and I, prior to Top Notch Live, really were all out sprinting for what we now in hindsight realize is a little too long. We were kind of burning the candle at both ends, and we want to make sure that we're in it for the long run and that we're helping you guys be as effective as possible. So grinding is great, but it also needs to be balanced with these types of things. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how your distractions are actually hurting you more than you realize.
All right. So what we'll do is... And let's just preface it with this. What we're saying is you're not taking enough time in silence. Like, that's kind of the outline of this episode. Think to yourself, when is the last time that you sat in silence? When is the last time that you didn't have music on, you didn't have the TV on, you weren't talking to somebody, you weren't on the phone, you weren't texting somebody? When's the last time you put your phone down and just sat? It probably doesn't happen very often. If you meditate, strong work, because that's when it happens.
Right.
But so we're going to go through some different specific examples. So why do the best thoughts that you have come to you in the shower? Because that is one of the first and possibly only times that you're just alone with your thoughts, unless you have Spotify playing where you might not have those thoughts. For me, I've had times where I will literally grab my phone on the sink outside of the shower and say something to Siri, because I have like a breakthrough of some sort of like, oh, I didn't think of this person, but I should really text them. I haven't talked to them in 6 months.
Right.
I remember they said they wanted to start a podcast.
Right.
Or, oh, this person texted me. I never got back to them.
Right.
Like, why are you remembering that then? Because you're present. That's like the first time that you're present. You don't have anything, anything external taking your attention. And so that's been huge for me. And like, I don't know if it happens to everybody. I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody I talk to has great thoughts in the shower.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Does it happen if you have music on, you think?
I think it can, especially stimulating music.
Peaceful piano.
I was going to shout out Peaceful Piano. So Emilia, I give her full credit for this. She calls it quiet time because she wants to process through her day. Number 3 here, I'm going to jump to number 3 real quick, is knowledge plus experience plus reflection / processing equals wisdom. Again, imagine you gain a bunch of knowledge. Let's say you're in the middle of your day and things are going crazy and you're getting stimulated from all angles. You're getting texts, you're getting emails, you're getting
stimulated from all angles.
Right. You're getting hit up by your friends, you're getting phone calls, you're listening to podcasts, you're reading audiobooks. It's a lot of knowledge being thrown at you. You're experiencing a lot. But if you don't reflect and give time to verbally or not verbally, but process that information, you're not going to be wisdom. You're not going to be wisdom. Wow. You're not going to end up with wisdom. I was at dinner last night with one of my wisest mentors. He's 69 years old. His name's Dr. Robert Scott. He'll be at the first Hyperconscious Lab event in a couple quarters or in a quarter. But he talks a lot about how he tries to keep his life really simple. He's working on a lot of different projects. Like, he's a politician. He's written 20 plus books. He's writing another one now. He's actually having someone do an audiobook version of his books right now. Like, he's always got his hands in a lot of different things. But he makes sure that he has the time in his day to kind of process. And the way he tried to explain this to me last night, which is why this episode is actually so synchronistic, is he says, imagine you have the deepest part of your subconscious mind is collecting way more data than you're aware of consciously. You don't have time to consciously process through that to lock in the lessons, to lock in the takeaways, to lock in the learnings. Like, if you've ever been really stressed out and then went and took a shower and then felt like $1 million after, it's because you gave yourself a minute alone. And I think that that's really important.
Makes sense. All right, so number 2, Alan jumped to 3. Number 2, if you're, and there's so many memes about this, that's how you know it's a real thing. You'll see the meme of like, just when I lay down and close my eyes to sleep, my brain decides to think of what I did when I was in 4th grade. Like that one thing that happened to me in 4th grade. Right. That's because you didn't spend any time elsewhere reflecting. So I find for me that when I meditate, I sleep better. Because when I meditate, those are the thoughts that I'm getting rid of. Those are the thoughts that come in, I label them, and then I try to send them away. That's the thing for me. And I think it's because that's when you're, and again, this won't happen if you're watching TV. If you're watching TV, you don't have to reflect.
Well, you're being stimulated.
Right.
With new information.
Right.
So
you're being distracted is what you're, all of these things are distracting you from thought.
Right.
Your own thought. And again, like, I love audiobooks. I think you should do audiobooks. You should do podcasts. You should do that. You should listen to music at the gym if you want. But I think you should give yourself time to have silence because that's the only time you're truly present with your thoughts.
I'm convinced of this as well. So whenever you have like a new distinction, like a new lesson, a new breakthrough, your subconscious, I believe, is going to try to reprocess your memories from that higher sense of awareness. So, for example, every time we figure something, like when we had Tori on and we learned all this new stuff, I remember when I first learned about the infatuation stage, the power struggle stage, and then the commitment stage. As soon as I learned that and that was a thing, all of a sudden I was reprocessing all my old relationships from that new perspective. So, but that takes time. So, like after these podcasts, for example, like after this episode, you're probably going to need some quiet time to really let this stuff sink in. And hopefully you can at least take 5 to 10 minutes to do that.
Yes. All right, you can do number 4.
You want me to? Oh, number 4. That's right. Number 4 is my favorite one.
Yeah. I remember you said that.
Yeah.
I don't think you said that.
I think that I said that on the one that we messed up. Okay, number 4. Simulation versus imagination. So think about the early 1900s. Oh, yeah.
That's the way you said it. I thought you were going to say, think about your favorite first-person shooter.
Call of Duty. No, think about the early 1900s. Imagine you're born in the early 1900s. There is no Netflix. There is no social media. There is no iPhone. There's no internet. There's you, your family, and your community, and that's it.
And a Haas.
And a Haas.
You probably got a Haas to ride.
Probably got a yeah, a Haas. But you're imagining. There's books though. So when you're reading books, so I asked Dr. Robert Scott last night, what's your favorite fiction book? He said Lord of the Flies and I think Animal Farm. And so I downloaded Lord of the Flies. The point is this. When you're reading a fiction book, it forces you to imagine in your mind's eye what the author is portraying. So, for example, in Lord of the Flies, they're talking about being on an island, and the author's really good at articulating the blue ocean and the waves crashing on the rocks across. And I was in the car, and I was literally imagining in my mind's eye what this author was trying to portray. Now, imagine you want to build a house, but you have no clue what kind of house you want to build. You can't actually envision it in your mind's eye. You're just going to start laying bricks, and maybe you create a foundation that's really not good. All successful people, we've now interviewed probably 100 plus people on this podcast, and one of the common denominators is that they usually have a pretty clear vision of what they want in the future. And what I've come to realize is that when we're watching Netflix and we're watching movies and we're always being stimulated and given the answers, we're not flexing our imagination muscle enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think, again, the takeaway is silence creates presence. And there's a couple things, like, it's a habit. I think that's the other thing, too. Like, when you're driving, it's a habit to play music. Maybe for you, it's a habit to listen to, even if you listen to a podcast. Like, maybe it's a habit to listen to a podcast when you're in the shower. Maybe you have Alexa in your bathroom. I don't know. But it's the habits. And what if you created a habit of having some silence throughout the day?
Right.
So that's, again, for me, that's why meditation is important, because that's the only time, and it sucks too. This is how you know it's opposite of what you're used to doing. It sucks. Meditation sucks because I'm just sitting there, and it's like, oh my God, I got 8 more minutes, and I'm just sitting here in silence. Or I use the Calm app, but it's not music. It's just it's a guided meditation.
Right.
And I'll have so many different things come up and like, oh God, I forgot about this credit card bill. Like, I have to pay that. Okay, let's get rid of that. That's the stuff that I usually think of when I'm trying to fall asleep.
Wow.
And that's like a thing. And I just think that you have to you schedule in all these other things. Where are you scheduling in silence? And the other question that I would ask is, why are you searching for these distractions? Are you seeking these distractions because you don't want to be alone with your thoughts? Because that's a whole other thing.
Right.
Then the question is, why don't you want to be alone with your thoughts? I think that the only way for you to change the way you think is to first become aware of what you're thinking of. And it's hard to do that if you're always distracted. Like, if Alan's trying to write a book and I'm just going, hey, over and over, like, he's not going to get anything done.
Right.
And you're not going to get into flow. You're not going to get into a present moment. And I just think that that's where most people live. There's so much noise. There's so many ways for us to pick up the phone. So I saw Simon Sinek this weekend. This is a good example. He said, when I am out with a friend, sometimes I'll give them my phone. That way, when they go to the bathroom, I don't get to look at my phone. I have to sit there and think like I used to.
Right.
Most people don't do that because you feel judged because people are looking at you and you're there alone. When you bury your face in your phone, not only are you distracting yourself from your thoughts, you're distracting yourself from feedback. You're distracting yourself from fear chasing. You're distracting yourself from so many things.
Yeah.
So
From
many
self-reflection as well.
So I think that's the biggest takeaway for this episode.
Sitting alone in silence, if you haven't done it often, is probably going to be a really challenging thing. Start with 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And like lately, it's interesting because I wear earplugs constantly. I take power naps. Like, I wear earplugs in the shower with the lights off. Like, I think I've been doing this. I don't think I was quite aware as to why. But if you're new to this is going to be really challenging at first. And I think it's really important, though, because like Kevin said, nowadays you have email, texts, calls, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, LinkedIn. Like, I look at people's phones, man. there's notifications everywhere.
I'm guilty of that.
Imagine if someone was knocking on your door of your home all day, every day. Yeah. How hard would it be to get any thoughts or any work done? Like, I honestly believe that the biggest kryptonite for all of us is distractions. Fortunately, we're having someone on the podcast come soon who wrote the book Indistractable.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very important.
All right, if you're listening to this, I challenge you, and again, not if you're driving, but when you get home or if you are home, take 5 minutes, set a timer on your phone, close your eyes, and sit in silence and just see what it's like. Like, this is basically some form of meditation, but just see what it's like. Go ahead.
I just had a major breakthrough. Remember when you and I talked last week, we were talking about when the power goes out?
Yeah, it's brutal.
Oh, it's brutal. Why is it brutal? Because you actually have to sit there with your thoughts. Oh my God, I have to pick up a book.
Right.
Like, and you play board games and stuff.
If you have light.
If you have light, right?
Light
Exactly.
candles up.
Remember the last time the power went out? Think about that time. How hard that was. One of the reasons why that's difficult and why it's so different is because that's how much we've become dependent on distraction.
Yeah. So I challenge you. 5 minutes. Set a timer. Sit down in a comfortable position. You can put something over your eyes. You can turn the lights off. You can leave the lights on. Whatever. But just think and see what comes. And yeah, it's probably going to suck. It's probably not going to be that enjoyable. But a lot of times the stuff that pays off in the future is the stuff that doesn't really feel good now.
10-second blip?
10-second blip is silence will do you good. That was a 1-second blip. But I am the host and I get to do what I want.
It's the silence between the notes that makes the music.
That was 1 second as well. You're also the host, so you can also do what you want.
We'll co-host.
Co-host, but technically. I mean, I don't want to really belittle you in front of all these people. All right, what are we doing after this? We are talking about.
Well, Mr. Host, what are we doing?
We're talking about building your tribe.
Yes.
One thing, like a common denominator between clients, between friends, between people that we know is so many people feel like they're the only person who is doing this. The only person who is into personal development like this, the only person who doesn't want to go out and drink every night, the only person who's trying to get better, the entrepreneur of the group, the person who, has ambitions, and other people don't understand that. And some people are being made to feel like they're bad people or they're bad friends or they're not supportive. And I think it's very tough. And that's what Hyperconscious Nation is about. We're trying to build a community where you can belong and you feel like you do belong.
Absolutely.
But if you're in person, that's a lot harder. So we're going to talk about that. And yeah, we're going to talk about how that's changed so much for us. We have an amazing circle around us and we're blessed. So we want to help you guys build that for yourself.
Absolutely. As you continue to grow, you will continue to build that. Let us help you do that. And that'll be on
Friday.
Friday.
We hope you enjoyed this and we will talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.